Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
I love people as I meet them one by one. People are just wonderful as individuals. You see the whole...
My great aspiration, my greatest ambition is to be so good. Now, in that way, I'm tiresome, as I suppose, to live with, because I want to be a fantastic human being.
I am the greatest.
We're not disputing that, Cassius, but how does Sonny Liston feel about it?
He can't feel but one way, and let's take everything I say and like it. Because February the 25th, I'm going to take back my job. I'm the champ. He's no champ. He's a tramp.
When you see men fall, don't laugh. Learn. Learn. Because you're on your way up. And the things that tempt people to fall, you and I are not free from that temptation.
By examining his own attitude towards the possibilities of peace, towards the Soviet Union, towards the course of the Cold War.
Art muscle. It was a way of making me feel that they were a part of me.
You see it on the bridge. Wait a minute, how they get it? If the government had to change the screw in the bridge, they had to shut it down. They got state troopers out there. They got lanes closed. They got their strange machines. How did they get up there?
Hey, what's going on, people, man? Hey, we back. You know what time it is on Wednesdays. We talk about science. We talk about conspiracies. We talk about how we as human beings disrespect the planet on a regular basis. Glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. I appreciate you for being here. I'm your host. If you're not familiar with me, check out the catalog. It'll explain everything that you need to know. It's just good to be here. You know what I'm saying? One more day. To everybody who joined me earlier on the live stream, I want to say thank you. That the coverage on that is getting out. I just finished watching a reaction video to it, and it's funny because that brother said word for word what I said on the stream. So that just goes to tell you it don't really make a difference if you got 1 million people following you or 2 people following you. When you got common sense, you know right from wrong. It's not really hard to tell when things are out of order. You know what I'm saying? Let me bring Sydney up. I'm going to give her the mic here in a second. Make sure you repost, like, let people know that we are live. I do have a video that I'm going to play in addition to the title here so that everything correlates. We're a team up here. We work cohesive. So this is going to be an interesting one. I'm curious to hear what she has to say. I'm going to let her do her thing real quick while I get everything on this side set up. Sydney, if you want to introduce yourself to the people, you got the floor. Blessings to you.
Hello, good to see you.
Likewise.
For anyone that doesn't know me, my name is Sydney Lindquist. I have my bachelor's degree in psychology, my master's degree in environmental education. Currently, my full-time job is being a mom to 2 kids, but I absolutely love to learn. I'm always reading. I'm always listening to things. I love to try and understand the world around me, and I love to talk. So it's only natural that I love to talk on the podcast as well. I I have a background specifically in climate change and disaster psychology, how disruptions affect society, affect people in general, and how it affects systems. But I just, as I said, I love to understand how the world works. So I also explore a variety of other topics. My other thing is I love to use art and writing to also speak towards issues that are important to me. But yeah, I am really excited to have this conversation today. I almost got locked out of my own show though. My email is being really stupid, so I'm glad I got that other email.
Right. Yeah, we all have those technical days, and I mean, you know, as much it's surprising I haven't had the mute issue in a few days, a couple weeks actually. So, like, let me give myself a gold star for that one. Eventually, at some point, I'm gonna upgrade this laptop so I have better quality of stream when I do video reactions. But outside of that, the title, it comes from a post, and the video is kind of old, but to me it's still relevant. And essentially what he's saying is no one really cares about our surroundings, about the trees, about the earth in general, because at the end of the day, it is about communism, it's about capitalism, it is about the dollar bill. This video is about 2 minutes, and I figured let's address it. Why not? So, anything you want to say before I play the clip?
Well, right off the bat, I already agree. So, I'm excited to see what this person has to say.
All right. Make sure y'all got y'all something to drink. I probably need something to drink. Like I said, about 2 minutes. I'll play it and then we'll just go from there.
Why did Firestone Company build a factory on the Mill River in Connecticut and then dump raw industrial sewage into the Mill River to destroy a river that took nature 1 million years to construct, an ecological marvel that was used for swimming, fishing, recreation, drinking water, and you just dump your raw industrial effusion into the river? It's rational to do that. It's correct policy. Because you have one value, and that value is to cut your production costs and maximize your profit. It's not rational from a human point of view. It's not rational from a social or ecological point of view, but capitalism has no commitment to humanity or social values or environment or spiritual values or self-dignity or literacy or education or medical care or any of those things or a right and guarantee to a job. Capitalism has only one loyalty, and that's to itself, to its own inner inevitable dynamic, which to invest and make a profit from your investment. Because it's the first law of capitalism that if you don't make a profit, you go out of business. And that's why they do it. Not because they're greedy or evil, although there's plenty of that too, greed and evil and venality and bribes and corruptions and lying and rip-offs. They got plenty of that too. It comes out in the papers every day. Not only because it's not, but that isn't essentially it. It's because that is the inevitable imperative of the system. You would have to do the same if you were president of that company, or your company would lapse into a condition of social philanthropy, which means it wouldn't last very long. So it is that absence of consideration of human values which many of us really kind of dislike about this system, because we think it really ultimately, while it gives us more and more video games and more automobiles and more power lawnmowers and other things, it also is destroying the quality of our lives and the spirit of our lives.
Any lies told?
No, not really. I agree with what he said. There have been a number of philosophers that have warned about capitalism, and capitalism has taken different names over time. But the problem with capitalism is because it allows a freedom for resources to move to whomever has the most power to acquire it, you're always going to have imbalance, because no matter how much policing you do, there's always going to be people that are greedy enough to find workarounds to make sure they still have more than other people. And if you have a capitalistic system, it almost supercharges it, where at the beginning it sounds awesome because people have the opportunity to make whatever they want of themselves. And in the beginnings, it is great because it gives a lot of people opportunity. But as more and more people start to populate within that, I'm going to call it a regime, even though that's not really the appropriate word for it. But the regime, it becomes harder and harder to govern that system, because it's a complicated system, because you have to have a series of checks and balances. You have to have a balancing of powers. You have to have people that are honest and truthful, that are monitoring the system and monitoring the money supply and monitoring who's doing what with all of the money and where it's going and how to manage it. So there's a lot that goes into it. And so the more people that are crowded into the system, the harder it is to manage. Like the simplest example is like the person that's spinning plates on a stick. The more plates that he adds to the stick, the harder it is for him to balance, or even a juggler. Like the more balls that he has, the harder it is for him to juggle. And at a certain point, he's just going to drop all the balls because he's not going to be able to maintain the trajectory. And that is the problem with capitalism, is it's always going to allow there to be a shift in resources, where there's always going to be as I said, a person or entity that believes they should have more resources than other people. And once you start to accumulate a certain amount of money, you're able to direct more of that money to come to you. And so in essence, the more powerful you become, the more powerful you're able to become. And as I said, it starts off great for everyone, but as time progresses, and as I said, as more people are in the system, and as it becomes harder and harder to manage the system, there's going to be people that over overinflate the power that they're able to wield using that money. And that's the danger of capitalism, because in other types of systems, it makes it much harder for somebody to accumulate wealth as a weapon against the majority. It's one of the few, or not one of the few, but it's one of the types of systems that allows a small few to rule the many.
That's a fact. When it all boils down to it, it's greed, and you want to build a legacy. You want to build a generational wealth for your family, but when does it stop? Where is the line drawn when you've made enough? And I think about that often, right? Because I don't want my children's children to struggle. But then I'm really trying to consider, all right, what is it that I'm doing that's going to also, it's going to be eco-friendly, but it's also going to benefit humankind too, because the way that it is painted is as if you can't do things without having to burn and cause fire and smoke and expose the toxic waste into the water. Like he was saying, they kind of destroyed the river. And there was another video I had watched prior to this where the young lady, she did like a 60-second explanation of, she was comparing it to like sweating. It was like she was saying that when you use a lot of data, like there's I wish I would have uploaded it, but basically what she was saying is, in order to cool off those computers and in that infrastructure that facilitates maintaining your information, it requires a lot of water because it goes into a cooling station or something like that. And she was saying how it's just like when you get hot and you sweat, you drink water to cool off. Well, it's the same thing with that. And she was saying also, if there's a location where it's warmer, it's going to require more water, which means that the more water you have here is going to take away from where the water is actually needed at. So I was thinking about that, and the fact that there's a number of different things that we utilize that kind of contribute to the imbalances that we see with just everyday things that we indulge in. Air quality, water, drinking. Well, technically those are the main ones, but food as well. We've spoken about that too. So I'm torn with capitalism. I can see the positive, but I don't know if it's being utilized with respect, or I don't think it's really being treated the way it should be.
There could have been ways that capitalism could have been used to protect the planet, but unfortunately, inherently, capitalism is competitive, And if you have an entity or many entities that are running off the basis of competition, you're automatically going to have a problem, because you're always going to have one wanting to be bigger, better, stronger, more efficient, more enticing to the masses than the other. And in the natural environment, that's okay, because humans die and animals die, and like things don't live forever. But entities, businesses, factories, they can be passed from generation to generation. And capitalism is what feeds these entities that are polluting our planet. So the things that we're using to destroy our own planet are outliving us. We're still using some of the same chemicals, technologies, and whatnot that have done damage to our planet for years and years. As I said in one of the previous streams, we've known about climate change since the 1850s. We've known about the damage of chemicals since probably like the time we started doing science in like the 1300s, 1400s. I mean, who knows what we've known, what we from history have known, because as we've seen time and time again, history gets deleted, history gets removed, history gets lost. So we don't truly know what people from the past knew, but they clearly knew something, because all of the ancient writings that we have from people of the past reflect very, very similar breakthroughs and thought processes and observations and patterns that we today still see and still live, despite all of our advancements. Like, people are still basically living the same lives. It's just the stuff around us has changed. And the systems around us have changed. But we humans are no different. Like, almost every human you could talk to still yearns to be in nature. Almost every single human you talk to yearns to be with a community that cares about them, that wants to be around them. Every single human being wants to have access to clean food and clean water, clean surroundings, access to healthcare, and access to a bed to sleep on. And most people who are not born with a silver spoon in their mouth would be very grateful to have basic necessities, and would be grateful for just having clothes on their body and stuff like that. Like, the majority of people are not frivolous, wild people, but that's kind of what we're shown on TV, so it kind of makes it seem like that's the way everyone's living. But it's sad, because most people are living simply and are making their best efforts to make the earth better. Most people are good-natured in that they try and take small actions. I don't know what the percentages are right now, but increasing numbers of people are starting to use their own drink cups and straws, and bringing their own bags, not wanting to use plastic bags. So we, as individuals, as humans, as corporate rich people, we are making a difference. We are doing things that matter. More people are aware of this. More people are standing up for the planet. It's just, unfortunately, we're against a massive, massive Goliath. And it's not even a Goliath. It's a set of Goliaths that are working together to control the whole system. And I think I've said this before on the stream, but I honestly think that these corporations, these mega, mega rich, insert expletives, are purposely trying to destroy this planet for us, because then it could be them, their friends and family, and the few people that they probably care about, just left on this big planet that they destroyed. Like, I really think that they are going to, like, what they want to diminish the population and take it for themselves. And I don't know how that, to me, that doesn't sound very appealing. Like, what are you going to do? Rule over emptiness? Like, you're just going to be in your big fancy mansion with, like, nobody left? Like, what kind of life is that? But anyways, that is kind of what capitalism is giving us. These people that have been empowered to, like, F everything around me. Who cares about the environment? Because I can afford to manufacture the life I want and completely ignore the stuff that's happening around me. If you ask, this was the focus of my project for my master's degree. I looked into climate change opinions around the globe, and I investigated why it seemed like people weren't taking action. And people are taking action. Overwhelmingly, about 80% on average, depending on which areas you're asking, about 60 to 80% of people are taking action. If you go to other countries, Europe, South America, African countries, island nations, 96 to 99% of them both understand that climate change exists, and they're doing something to try and mitigate it and do something about it. So I honestly think that we are, it's just in America, we're so sheltered, and we've been so lucky to not have to deal with some of the climate swings that places like China and Africa, India, Pakistan, the Middle East, what they have to deal with, because they notice these things first, because the climate change impacts are affecting them more noticeably. We are only now starting to notice in the US because our storms are becoming far more frequent. Our flooding is becoming more frequent and more severe. As you've seen in the last couple weeks, we've been having, like, monster-sized hail and crazy lightning. So I think it's just us being kind of sheltered from the impacts, since our housing is relatively more put together. It's harder to, like, you're more sheltered from the environment. You don't have to feel the colds and whatever, like, feel the heat outside as much. But now, as we start to see the decline, we're going to start noticing it a lot more in our lives. But yeah, it's a challenge in the sense that the ones that are causing the pollution, as I said, these companies are responsible for 70%, probably more. Honestly, I think at this point it's closer to like 85% of the emissions are produced by only 100 different companies. And again, all of these companies were fueled by capitalism. You inherently cannot have a functioning country on capitalism, because the goal of capitalism is always to have more, and our earth cannot support more. Right now, as it is, to support the population's needs, like all of the stuff that we use here on earth, every single year we use 8 times the amount of resources that this earth would produce in a year. So we're basically eating 8 years into our future of resources every single year, because we are over consuming we are overpopulated, and then we are we have some super greedy, again, insert expletive, people and companies that just want to take the resources just for the hell of it, just to have it, just to show it off. Like, we have gluttony and opulence to the nth degree, and it's quite sickening. But it's these individuals that are responsible largely for the damage that we've experienced.
I want y'all to pay attention to this, because there's a ripple effect here. And within those waves, within them little crevices, there's a list of outcomes that occur based on the main case here, which is capitalism. What consists of capitalism? Well, there's a market, there's a supplier, there's a demand. These entities who have made millions and billions of dollars understand the supply and demand. We, as the consumer, through our knowledge and lack thereof, and our desires and our needs and our wants, we add on to the business model that is eventually provided to them. When we buy our potato chips, when we buy our salty foods, when we overly consume on coffee and wine and TV, internet, do you not think that has anything to do with why they are able to do what they do? Everything, like, if there was a tree, it's just like a tree, and every branch has its own limbs and its own leaves. It's just like that. So let's say capitalism is the tree, and then everything that's branching off is divided into different quadrants of our needs and things that we require to sustain life. Even though the earth is a living, breathing hospital, as far as I'm concerned, everything that you need is natural as it is, but we add on our own ingredients to it to enhance the flavor or the excitement of it. And I'm only saying all of this because I agree with you. They are largely responsible for this. And I wonder what would happen if people didn't rely on pork and high cholesterol type foods. I wonder what would happen if people would just cut down on all that, ate fruit and vegetables, and everything that they ate was purely from the earth itself, and it wasn't manufactured. If you put your devices down, more often and didn't click in. Remember, we did that stream a while ago about the fires in California and how they didn't have water at all. How is that possible? I still haven't even got an answer for that. You know, that story came and went. I don't hear no one else speaking on it anymore. But what happened to the water? And then it made me think about what this young lady said. The water is being funneled to these locations that require it to handle all of the overload that's coming in from us typing and tweeting and going to www. This and that and that and the third. So like essentially is we are our own worst enemies in so many different ways. It's not even funny for real. I know he's about to say something. I just wanted to get that out.
One of my favorite quotes, I forget if it's from an environmentalist or if it's from like one of those people that like does urban development or whatever. But I don't dream of a world where everybody can afford cars. I dream of a world where both the poor and the rich take the bus together. And that is, to me, what both an environmentally friendly culture society looks like and a humanly friendly environment looks like. Something that is built for human beings to thrive and prosper. Because right now, we have a society, we have an environment created for us that is nothing but depressing and debilitating, and it drags people down. It causes mental illness. It leads people to it increases people's likelihood of committing crimes. It increases chances of diseases. Like the ways we have laid out our cities make a bunch of different things far more dangerous for human beings. And not to mention, most people absolutely hate the look of cities. You'll find those random people that like New York or like one of the more beautiful cities. But most people these days want to get away to the countryside or go out into, like, maybe they want to be in the suburbs, but most people don't like being squished up in a box and feel depressed if they're staying indoors 24/7 all day long. But I see this, it's not just America, it's many other countries. I've seen this in South Korea and Japan and China, in Europe, where people are in their high-rise mini little apartment with no colors inside, and day in and day out, they're just in that space. Maybe they go out to get food and come back. Maybe they go out to go to work and come back, but that's it, day in and day out. And we've seen so many movies depicting humans living those dejected lives where they clearly have the life stolen from them, from the way that they're living. Everyone's seen WALL-E. Everyone has seen what's that one called with all the it's a robot world and whatever. But you see it, like, people are not happy to be living in the world that we're living in. We don't have community. We don't have each other. We don't have healthcare. We don't have good food. We don't have good water. We don't have good housing. Like, everything is literally falling apart. And we sit there like, oh, but it's okay because the internet's still on. So I have my phone. So I have Twitter. So I have Facebook. So I have YouTube. That's all that matters. But like, in a year, we don't know. We have no idea what's going to happen, because clearly the environment is out to get us. Clearly our entire country is out to get us. Like, we really have to start coming together as community members. Like, we need to start learning who our neighbors are, who our friends are, who the people who run the shops, the local shops, know who local artists are. Start buying things from people that live near you. Like this is from inspired by another creator on YouTube. She broke her mug, and so instead of going out to Target or some other store, she decided to buy from a local creator that made mugs by hand. We have to start supporting each other face to face. Like, all of this middleman stuff is not going to work anymore. We have to start cutting out all of these corporate hoo-has that they've put in just to like manage all this stuff just for more profit and whatever. Like, we have to start dealing directly with actual creators, actual artists and writers and people in our own communities who we can know where the like what the labor force is doing and how they're being treated and I'm not sure about you, but most artists, unless they're like some sort of scammer and don't really care, they put their heart and soul into it. They investigate everything they put on it and in it and about like all of the machines and everything. Like, they put so much heart into it that it's worth it. Like, you even feel good about buying the purchase. Whereas if you go to Target, you're like, oh, cool, like I got this cup, put it on the shelf. That's it. That's all you think about it. So yeah, like in the world that we're living in today, knowing all this about the environment, knowing the impact that all of these huge corporations are having, we have to stop supporting them. We have to start supporting each other. There are far more of us individually than there are of these corporations. And we have the capacity to show these corporations that we don't approve of what they're doing to our planet. We can choose not to support them anymore. We can choose not to buy stuff from them. Sadly, it does involve things that will make us uncomfortable. We might have to go without things. We might have to change brands or not buy certain things or cut things out of our routines. But frankly, I think that's more worth it than not having clean water and not having clean food and not having or food at all, because that's what they're doing. They are currently in the process of trying to privatize water. That way corporations can own all the water and they can decide who gets what water and how much to charge for it. So it's going to be like gasoline and housing, where everything's going to be exorbitantly expensive and only the wealthy can get clean water. We've already seen what happens in Flint, Michigan, and I forgot which individual cities, but there's a bunch in North Carolina, in Kentucky, in Ohio, in Iowa, in Oregon, in California, in Mississippi, Louisiana. Like, across the country, people are not able to get fresh water. Across the country, people are not able to have fresh air because of the pollution nearby, of the factories and the mining companies that don't have regulations and are just releasing whatever into the environment. It's horrific what these countries or what these companies are doing to us, to our communities, and they don't care. I just heard this morning from another YouTuber. The reason they go to other countries is because one, it's cheaper. It's so much easier to go to a place where people are already struggling to survive, already can't afford food, and you say, hey, we'll give you 30 cents if you make these socks for us. They're gonna be like, okay, sure, because that's 30 more cents than they had before. But that means the company, because they're desperate, they're gonna put up with whatever. They're gonna put up with harsh conditions. They'll put up with they can't breathe in the air. Maybe they're dealing with toxic chemicals. Maybe their back is bent all day and they're getting muscle and skeletal pain. But the companies don't have to care because it's not in America. It's not under America's rules for labor and enforcement. So they don't have to care. They can keep paying them cheaply and not pay us, and then send us the products that they're going to charge us 400 times more for the product that somebody in another country made. It's astonishing that we could ethically even consider supporting a system like that. And it's not even the workers themselves it's not just the workers themselves that are getting affected. The entire community is being affected, because oftentimes, because they don't have the same laws as in California, as in America, they will put the factories right inside the community. And so the whole community now has their water source tainted by the factories, and their food sources tainted by the factories, their homes, and it can even affect the economy, because once you put a business in, it artificially inflates the population of the town. It takes up the resources of the people that were already there. It's kind of the same thing that tourism does, where it basically pushes out the people that were originally there, makes things too expensive. Then foreigners move in because they have more money. And then all of these people that are used to that land, that know the animals, that know the land, that know the plants, that know how to use and how to use the soils and the cycles of the sun and the clouds and the weather. Like, they know everything about that space. The people that are moving in there, they don't. And so they're just going to tear things up and put in plants that aren't even from there, bring in their pets from other countries that don't belong there. They're going to disrespect the wildlife that's there because they see them as vermin rather than as an equal part of the environment. It's a huge, huge problem. It enables the transportation of things that don't belong into other areas where it doesn't belong. This is responsible for the transmission of diseases, for the transmission of invasive species. It also encourages the trade of endangered species, the black trade. It also encourages the production of things that are really harmful for the environment as well. So there's so many different impacts that capitalism has that just encourages the degradation of the environment. And unfortunately for us, our lives, our consumption habits move much, much faster than the reproducibility of the reproduction rate that the planet has. All of the plants, all of the animals, they have a much slower turnover rate. And so if you kill off all the deer in one season, they're going to come back really, 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 really slowly. Like, imagine if you went in and killed off 300, there was 300 deers, and you came in and you killed off 250 of them. Imagine how many fewer are going to, like, you might get 100 the next year, and then you kill off 25% of those, and then you only have maybe 50 the next season. So that's what we're doing to the planet, but to every single resource, to the trees, to the plants, to the animals, to the soil. We're even running out of topsoil. If anyone remembers the Dust Bowl, I guess not remembers, but if anyone has read about the Dust Bowl in the 1930s, that was because we used up the topsoil and it was functionally useless. There was no nutrients in it. The plants couldn't use it. It was basically just dust. If you ever see the Sahara Desert where it's just sand, that's basically what it was, just dust. And that's what we're doing in many, many, many different regions of the world. We're depleting the resources in the soils. We're depleting the resources in forests, in the oceans, and everywhere. It's quite disheartening. Like, it's truthfully, growing up and learning all of this information, I went through quite a number of times of depression because of the knowledge that you'll begin to develop in terms of what the future brings. It's the more you learn, the more you realize just how much of a razor's edge we're on, in terms of what life looked like and what life will look like. And it's quite scary as somebody who has been watching this progress. And I used to think that we would have been alarmed by now. Like, I had always hoped that alarm was going to be the thing that like triggered people to respond. Like in a fire, you see the fire and you're like, oh, we have to do something. Let's go. Let's do this. But this paltry response that we've had that's kind of dragged out over the course of years is awful. And then the fact that people are still being pulled back in by these red movements is also extremely frustrating. To see the science community being absolutely eviscerated and just like their words being disenfranchised at a time that we need them the most. And it's always scary thinking about what could happen. And it's not like it's unheard of either. This isn't something that like, oh, we don't know anything about this, but we're guessing that something like this could happen based on what we're doing. We have evidence from the past of what had happened before when something affected the climate and made it warmer. We've seen the evidence. We've seen the bodies of the animals that had been taken out by the rising sea levels. We have seen evidence of animals that had been frozen in these in the permafrost who died of starvation because they ran out of food because the climate changed and killed off everything in those areas. Like, we've seen animals that have been destroyed in mega landslides because the hills that were frozen together literally fell apart as things got warmer. So there are very catastrophic things that could happen. And it's one of those things where there's so many different negative impacts that could happen as a result of this. Why are we playing Russian roulette? It doesn't matter what actually happens. If we know that this could have such significant consequences to anybody, anywhere, I don't understand why anyone wouldn't want to fix this and wouldn't want. I think it's because we don't want to give up our comfort, but it's still, to me, like, but we know the consequences. Like, do we really need to be that comfortable? How can we be comfortable if we know this is coming? It's like, are you going to sit on your fluffy armchair watching a tsunami come at you? Like, oh, but I'm comfortable. Like, it's so crazy to me.
Everybody does it. And that's the sad part. It's going to take drastic measures before it is taken seriously. Once we leave the live stream, we will go back to our styrofoam cups, Newport 100s, and none of this would have mattered. To some. That's what I appreciate about the internet and having talks like this, because it really doesn't really make a difference as long as one person heard it and one person took it serious. Everybody is not going to have the same pressure put on them, but
one of my favorite quotes is, if anybody ever thinks that one individual can't make a difference, they've never had a fly in their kitchen.
That's a fact. I can't stand them. That's one thing about the summertime that I don't like. Flies and mosquitoes. I'm good on both. To the people who are watching, I would like to believe that you do care about your neighborhoods, the conditions that they're in. I would like to believe that you do care that we are ultimately disrespecting the same planet that has taken care of us since birth.
God literally told us to take care of the planet too.
Yeah. Ironic, right? My message? Let's see. Capitalism, in my eyes, is supposed to benefit everyone, not just a select few of people. And I don't believe that it's supposed to sacrifice someone in order to keep another person happy. There's more than enough for everyone. And something that you said about we overly consume more than the earth has time to heal and replenish. Really think about that one for a second. We need to cut back on our food intake. We need to cut back on how much electricity we use. We need to cut back on a lot of stuff.
There's a day dedicated to the moment that we exceed Earth's capacity to regenerate the resources, called Earth Overshoot Day. In 2024, it was August 1st. So by August 1st, we had used up all of the resources available for that year and started eating into the resources of future years.
I never thought I'd hear that ever come out of someone's mouth. Really, that's huge. That's huge. Can you really imagine that? That's crazy. And it's not really far-fetched at all, because I know I'm greedy. I have a thing for snacks, and I go to the refrigerator a lot. I mean, way more than I should. I'm just one little person, so I already know a lot of y'all in that Haagen-Dazs quite often. But I hope.
Meanwhile, I eat every stream.
Sensational.
I hope this conversation, kind of brought some of us back to earth. Just a little bit. Not like Elon Musk level, but just enough. Throw your stuff in the trash, recycle. Start using things that are biodegradable. I don't know. The little things matter. Be the one person who doesn't add on extra to something that's causing us problems.
The biggest thing that I can suggest to lower your impact is to buy everything secondhand. I know a lot of people have the ick when they're like, I don't want to buy clothes secondhand, or I don't want to buy dishes secondhand, or like, that's weird. But I promise you, those stores are filled with clothes that have never even been worn, dishes that have never been touched, dishes that are still in their original packaging. They have antique dishes and dishes, like they have everything you could possibly imagine, because we have produced so much as a culture that we can't even use it all. So it just ends up in these places. So go to thrift stores and Goodwill and stuff like that, because you can, you go to the store today and you'll go to Target and they'll be like, yeah, I want to charge you $35 for a white dinner plate. No. Go to Target, go to Goodwill, you can get them for like $1, 50 cents. Like, it's ridiculous what capitalism has done to us and our spending habits and what we think we need and what we think we should be spending. And it's absolutely ridiculous. I have seen people that are spending, like, I'm not even joking, $10,000 to $25,000 a month to fund their lives. You do not need all of that. I promise. Oh my God. It's so insane to me that how different people today can live. I mean, I get this has always kind of been the way society's been. Like, you have people in the 1700s who were living in dirt, and then you have the opulence of the Marie Antoinette and her luxurious everyone in there. But it just kills me when I see this overconsumption today of people, and so much of this stuff is just crap. Like, I hate to say it, but like costume jewelry and shitty shirts that you wear once and it tears, or you like wear the pants and then you wear the knees out just from walking down the stairs. Like, this stuff is not even worth it anymore. You used to, in the 1940s, your mother could knit you a sweater that you would wear from 12 until you went to college and were able to get a job and buy your own clothes. Like, we used to make things that were quality, that would last a long time. Like Levi's, that's what they used to be known for. I've seen jeans now that tear just as easily as a cotton t-shirt. That's another downside of capitalism, is it eventually can't sustain itself, and you're going to see a decline where things just aren't good anymore. We don't have the capacity to keep getting better and better and better and better every time, because there's a limit to everything. There are always limits to growth. There's limits to growth on Earth. There's limits to growth with the economy. There's limits to growth with development and with production. And what we've been living through is not sustainable. And we're about to find out the hard way that this is not sustainable. And so I still don't think it's the perfect system, but some form of socialism really is where we need to go, at least in the sense of commodities, necessities. I mean, things like healthcare, housing, food, or at least basic food, basic sustenance, the vegetables, fruits, basic breads, rice, staples, like those should all be provided. Those should all be available to anybody who needs them. Housing should be available to anybody that needs them. I think they should be tiered. Like, you have the basic housing that's available to everyone. You have like the family housing for people that want a budget or whatever and just live. And then you have like, if you want to pay for more, then you can pay for more and do whatever you want. But housing, healthcare, food, water, these all need to be protected and need to be provided. The excesses, that I think can be more like capitalistic or whatever. Like, people, once you have the necessities covered, I think you can have the mechanisms for a capitalistic type of like variety, allowing for like, if you want more than the basics, you can have access to what other people are making and artisans and stuff like that. But the system where all the privatized funding stuff, it's not working. It's not working for the environment. It's not working for us. It's not working for the system. It's not working for the country. It's not working. And a communal system, when it comes down to it, it's better for us. It's better for the environment. Because if it's better for the environment, it's going to be better for us, and vice versa. We are not exchangeable. It's a unit. We cannot be separated from the environment just as much as the environment cannot be separated from us. We cannot live without the bugs. We cannot live without the animals. We cannot live without the grass and the trees and the flowers and everything. As much as we'd love to believe that, as much as we'd love to build mansions around us to convince ourselves we are not part of nature, we are part of nature. If we kill off nature, if there is no nature left, there will be no humans. We eat nature. We need nature. That's it. That's it. We need to protect it.
Yeah, I heard it. There ain't nothing else to say about it. Do better. That's the message.
This one is, I've mentioned it before. It started one of the first environmental movements in the 1960s. Absolutely incredible information. If you want to know the history of environmentalism and the impacts that war and the chemical productions and all of these companies have had on us, very, very good book. Very important. And honestly, if you're a parent, this is something you'll want to read too, because it talks about the effect that companies and chemicals have on kids. And a lot of these chemicals still exist today. She wrote that in 1962. It's still relevant. This one, he's still alive. He's a fabulous scientist. He's incredible. He's been to the glaciers. He's been to Antarctica. He is an expert on climate change. And he wrote this in 22, I think, about 23, about what the Earth has gone through in the past and how we can use that to build our societies better into the future. So super, super important things. With all of the complicated aspects of climate change, I always end with the takeaway that this sounds helpless. This sounds really scary, like we can't do anything, but the worst thing we can do is nothing. And so the best thing we can do is take small steps, because small steps will always turn into something bigger. One, if people around you see that you're carrying a metal straw, it's going to trigger for at least one person. Oh, that's a good idea. I'm going to start doing that. Or, oh, I should start doing that more. People really underestimate the power of the snowball effect and how quickly movements can grow and how even random small movements can develop from really simple actions. So it's tiring because we hear this all the time. We hear people talking about it, but we have to keep going. We have to keep up with it and keep taking small actions where we can, because eventually it's going to build up into a cultural knowledge. If enough people allow this information to pervade, eventually we're going to have a culture where it's common knowledge that this exists and it's common practice to do things about it. So we really want to start working together and start making differences in really small ways. And it doesn't help us to feel overwhelmed. I know it can sound really scary. So try to avoid like the fear mongering and the, oh, we should just give up because there's no point. We can't give up on our planet. We have a planet. We don't have the moon. We don't have Mars. We don't have Venus. We can't just go to another planet and live somewhere else, as much as these rich people want to make you believe that. We have to protect our Earth, and we have to do that together. So, yeah, so my takeaway is just keep pushing, keep trying. Every little bit does count. Every little bit makes a difference.
And with that being said, I want to say salutes to you, Sid. Salutes to the people that's watching. There's nothing more to lay out tonight, man.
I forgot. I do have a poem if you want me to read it. I almost forgot about it.
I'm gonna let you close out the show with that if you want.
Okay. All right. So this one is called Fiat Country. I thought it was very appropriate for this topic today. Fiat Country. Valueless dollars make valueless products for valueless people. The people that define leadership as the loudspeaker, the weak as the peacekeeper, valueless dollars coagulate in the wounds unto this nation, by the guilty and the patient, fed by the insidious investors and the companies that perpetuate a disrespectfully dangerous domain. Valueless people don't get paid, while the wealthiest get made. Valueless people are homeless and unable. Valueless people only bring love to the table. Valueless people just love who they love and have no choice but to pray to someone above, pleading to stay. Valueless people are the ones who think, but valueless people will only sink, while the wealthiest luxuriate in bathwater stained rose-colored with blood, not theirs. The wealthiest will float, the wealthiest will gloat in a sea of the rich, more than a queen, more than a dream, constantly building consequential regime, brains and hands replaced by machines, beeping as we sleep in boredom, tired of the same old serfdom. Stop the steal. The wealthiest shout as they secretly sow their doubts, and we go without, waiting for someone to value the purposeful hearts that we don't use. Value is intrinsic, yet somehow not worth shit. Being rich is owning crops and owning stocks, owning shops and city blocks. Wealth is building endlessly until you own them all. One by one, they take us down. Buy our stores and country moors, 1,000 acres of our land, just so they can have an expanse to look at. The wealthy told us, rich is owning, side houses like side hustles, collecting mansions, basic and plain, cows and quails to be housewife holy grail, air fryers as the homemaker prize, handbags for hire with leather for tires, leeching from freedom for goosey and gooey crouton, 42 of them online from platforms they could buy for themselves, no help. They don't care. Ignore the lies telling us to buy just because we should, because they need it as much as we do, so they can fund their lives. They would bless us if they could. Like magicians, they swap crap for treasure. We give up our leisure for junk, for they are better, but only at deception. Bait and switch people, there to deceive, receive eyes, to sell lies, to buy time, to sell us more to buy, while they pry more of our worth from the soft warmth of obliviousness. They seek our handouts, our hard-earned payouts, to buy their ruby pouts, selling their name with their fame. Every release shows the beggars, the blind and the debtors, happily handing in their hard-won pleasures to taste the tainted milk from the tit of the clever. It's one of my favorites.
Exceptional piece. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
I hope everyone that's watching was entertained. I hope you got something out of it. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Do me a solid. If you enjoyed this segment, make sure you lock in. Every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. Twitter, Facebook, Rumble. I'm everywhere. Tap in with us. Stay connected. And we about to get up out of here. But tomorrow you're not going to want to miss this show. If you heard about Rodney Hinton, I know you heard about it. We are covering that case, so you do not want to miss that show. 7 o'clock. All right. That being said, I got a name. I'm gonna save it for next week. I've been thinking about it. I'm gonna hit you up afterwards.
Okay.
Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all night though. We up out of here. Peace.
Have a good night, everyone.
By examining his own attitude towards the possibilities of peace, towards the Soviet Union, towards the course of the Cold War.
Art muscle. It was a way of making me feel that they were a part of me.
You see it on the bridge. Wait, how they get it? If the government had to change the screw in the bridge, they had to shut it down. They got